as head coach at Iona. And we had a chance to sit down with Coach Kloos before the ball game. You'll hear some of that at halftime coming up. Former player at St. John's, graduated from Hofstra in '83. He's a Long Islander through and through, but off the island now for his first head coaching job at the Division I level. And he is in the midst of this rivalry that's been going on since the MAC began 30 years ago. Ramel Brown and Mike Glover jump center, and it's the Iona Gales with possession first.
And when they've got the basketball, the ball is always in Scott Machado's hands. Second in the country in assist is Machado.
Although Machado, coming off a struggle of a game, fouled out in the game against Fairfield with only one assist. There's an easy one right there to get things started.
Yeah, that's a way to turn things around as you take a look at the series history. And interestingly enough, the Jaspers winning 3 out of 4 here at Iona, including a win last year in this building.
Well, for those of you who are regular MAC viewers, you may notice it's brighter in here and there's a different floor. Over the summer, a big capital project to give a nice facelift to the Heinz Athletic Center. Shot clock down to 6. Brutus left in a tough spot, and he very nearly drained the 3.
Couldn't get anything going against the zone.
Machado to the wide open Dwight.
He had a season-low 1 assist the other night in the loss up in Bridgeport to Fairfield. So he starts off first 2 possessions, gets himself right back on track with 2 assists.
Well, Machado comes in averaging 7.5 assists per game. He had been leading the nation until that game Friday, and now has slipped back to number 2, but behind DJ Cooper of Ohio University. But Machado is one of the multi-threat weapons for this Iona team, 7th in the league in scoring as well. Pass mishandled by Brown. Here come the Gales the other way with Machado. Now looking for his own shot. And there you see his repertoire in the first minute 45.
Well, there's the versatility you just were speaking of. His ability to get teammates involved, but he's got real good body control and strength to be able to finish at the rim or get that mid-range game. Get into the lane here, kick it out for a wide open look in the corner by Dwight, and then right into the lane in the pull-up jumper, that mid-range game that separates himself from some other guys.
And Rob, we take a look at the Be Smart, Drive Smart keys to the game.
Well, when you look at this game coming in, clearly Iona's the better team. So for Manhattan in a rivalry game, you got to make it your Super Bowl. You got to make this really important. And then they got to hold the line. They got to guard the three-point line because it's a huge part of what Iona does. On the other side, no freebies. And what I mean by that is Manhattan's a real good offensive rebounding team. You can't allow them any easy putbacks. And then they've got to have Mucho Machado. How about that? They've had it here early on. 2 assists and 1 basket. So Machado's been involved with all 7 of their points here in the early going.
I've known you a long time. Didn't know you spoke Spanish.
Yeah, there you go. That was Andy Brill's one, by the way. And give him some credit. So Machado right on cue with that key. He's been the key to this 7-0 run to start it.
And could it be another assist? No, Smythe comes up short. Strong finish, though. He's another one who struggled on Friday night. Was scoreless in that game coming off of a concussion. Now he's on the board very quickly. It's 9-0.
He was 0 for 4 from beyond the three-point line. And he's a specialist. He's a guy that's going to let it fly from deep, but he's got to be able to do more things with this game. Smythe's worked on his upper body strength in the offseason, knows it's coming up short, so Smythe tracks it down and then finishes at the rim with his left hand.
Non-shooting foul on the drive by Alvarado.
Doug, anytime you're a shooter, you can't allow yourself to just get pigeonholed in as a specialist. You got to figure out other things that you can do, because if you're not making shots, then you sit down. If you've got other parts to your game, now you find minutes on the floor.
Smythe is a 6'4" sophomore from River Edge, New Jersey, averaging 11.1 points per game. Here's Mike Glover. Out to Smythe, try again from deep, and he's got it.
Oh, nice kick out, confidently stepping up into that three-point shot. Early on, Manhattan getting absolutely nothing going in the half court against the zone.
And the block shot by Glover. He knew Beeman was coming at him, timed it perfectly, and here come the Gales for more.
They want to get out in transition, and they will let it fly from beyond the three-point line. they've taken 100 more threes on the season than their opponents, over 500 three-point attempts.
Jemison tries to break the seal, can't do it. Smythe clears for the Gales.
And so far, Gales doing a good job on the defensive backboard. If you want to run, you got to be able to rebound the basketball to be able to get out in transition.
And Iona's got some rebounders. Glover averaging 10.6. Rodriguez 6.3. Machado will get his share. Under 15 to shoot. Glover, nice up fake. Pass, though, knocked away. Jasper's with it. Mohamed Koita, 6'4" sophomore from Cergy, France. He's the one playing with the green bandage on his right hand and thumb. Foul on the drive to the basket.
Barry Rorson so far has not seen his team do a real good job. You see everybody collapses inside. Good kick out. And Smythe, you know, in the scouting report, anytime the ball's heading his direction, you got to have a closeout and make him put the ball to the floor. He's gotten off 2 clean looks from 3. Missed his first, but got the offensive rebound. Knocked down his second.
Second foul on Rashawn Dwight sends the new celebrity to the line, Michael Alvarado, the freshman from the Bronx. Last weekend, you've probably seen it by now. It was the #1 play on SportsCenter last weekend. He hit the desperation shot from beyond midcourt, which beat Marist at the buzzer. If you haven't seen it yet, you will see it later on this evening here on the broadcast. For that, Alvarado got an all-expenses-paid trip to Bristol, Connecticut to get the grand tour of the ESPN campus and to appear some more on the ESPN family of networks. Smythe denied by Brown, who is one of the best shot blockers you'll find anywhere in the country. He's got his first here tonight as we head to break. But that's about the only thing that's gone well for the Jaspers so far in the early going. Iona already with a double-figure lead.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these. What you drinking? Snoop! Pepsi Max. Too much taste to be called a 0.
On Blu-ray and DVD.
Join yourself down. It's the name of love.
Barry.
Oh, God.
God can't hear you, Barry.
Oh, too.
There are 2 things in this world. Sexy sex and boring death. I want to grow a beard.
On January 4th.
I had no idea. This was a dinner for extraordinary people.
Find out who's the biggest schmuck.
Your guy is amazing.
When you own Dinner for Schmucks.
Mamma mia, papa pia. Baby got the diarrhea. Hey, Tim!
In stores now on Blu-ray and DVD.
Welcome back to the Pepsi Max MAC Game of the Week. Iona with an early double-figure lead. Quite a change for the way it's gone lately for Iona. A team that just over 2 weeks ago was tied for first place in the MAC, but one close loss after another has dropped the Gales back to the middle of the pack.
And those last 4 have been consecutive games during this streak. So as we said, they were sitting pretty, sitting atop the league, going head-to-head for that top seed with Fairfield. But since that 4-game losing streak, they've slid all the way back down into 4th.
Yeah, back on January 23rd as Sean Armand, a terrific freshman, buries the three. In the midst of that Western New York trip, which can be taxing, Iona went out there in first place and came back not in first place after having lost the second game at Canisius. They beat Niagara but lost at Canisius, and then the consecutive losses since. But off to a terrific start here at home tonight.
And when you look at those losses, and I asked Tim Clues earlier, as you said, Sean Armand, a terrific looking freshman and a guy that gives them instant offense off the bench, especially from beyond the three-point line. But I asked him, I said, is there one consistent thing that you can attribute the four-game losing streak to? He said, well, we haven't made shots. He said, we've been banged up a little bit. But the biggest thing is we just haven't finished games off. We've had opportunities to win all of those games, maybe with the exception of the late comeback against Fairfield the other night. But they had leads in those other three games prior to that and weren't able to close things out.
And Coach Cluse also, when I asked him, is it a coincidence that you've gotten on this losing streak at the same time Rashawn Dwight suffered the Achilles injury? And he said, no, it's not a coincidence. We need him at full strength.
And what he does is he's the typical guy that gives you a little bit of everything. Gives him that senior leadership. He's a good defender. He's a matchup problem. And gives him a little bit of that mid-range game. When you look at their numbers, they take so many threes. Now, obviously, they've got, you know, one of the best post scorers, not only in the MAC, but in the country, and Mike Glover. But then everybody else is really a three-point threat. Well, he's the one guy that gives him that mid-range game.
Armand can't make it two in a row. Smythe tries to save. Can't do it. Actually is able to do it, so the Gales will keep. Now, so far, Kyle Smythe, who again did not practice at all last week. He suffered a concussion in practice a week ago today. Didn't practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Did play Friday, but did not play very effectively Friday. But he has been mixing it up so far here tonight. Rodriguez had his foot on the baseline when he received the inbound pass, so there is the turnover, giving it back to Manhattan. Well, if you're the Jaspers here, how do you start chipping away down 15 this quickly into the game, Ron?
Well, you got to get some decent looks. We threw up their lack of field goals here so far at the start of this game. They haven't gotten many good looks. I mean, think of the very first possession when Brutus was forced to throw it up from about 25 feet as Alvarado out in transition, attacking. That's the other thing. You can't make a bucket, get yourself to the foul line. But they've got to get something going to be able to find some decent looks in the half court.
Alvarado, 6'2" freshman from the Bronx out of All Hallows High School. High school juniors come out to the 2011 MAC College Fair on Saturday, March 5th from noon to 2 p.m. at the Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Take a look at all 10 MAC schools and what they have to offer you as a potential student. Participants will receive free tickets to the 2011 Spark Energy MAC Basketball Championships. For more information, log on to macsports.com.
And now, Manhattan's got to figure out a way, trailing right now, to get something going with their defense. We talk about their lack of offense at the other end. Iona's been incredibly efficient here early.
Jamel Jenkins just into the ball game, misfires. Beeman, the best rebounding guard in the MAC, pulls one down in traffic. Alvarado behind his back and spins. Actually had what appeared to be a free lane to the bucket, but didn't take it.
Yeah, if he finished the spin, instead it was a half spin and he came back trying to set things up.
Alvarado told me before the game, boy, I'm feeling confident since that 65-foot shot. He's playing with confidence here early on. Well, another stop by the Jaspers. They're down 11. Another chance for Alvarado. Jemison misses the putback, and Glover with the rebound.
And you got to finish those off. You're down by 11. That's one of the strengths of your team, offensive rebound. You got to convert those offensive rebounds into those freebies.
Jabril Coulibaly into the ball game. He's been quite a revelation lately for Manhattan. Mohamed Koida whistled for his first personal foul, and the second against Barry Rorson's Manhattan Jaspers. Machado to Jenkins in the corner. And the 5'11" junior from Union, New Jersey pulls it back out and will reset. Iona still trying to figure out what they're doing. Fifth-year senior Alejo Rodriguez had flashed out to the perimeter. That's easy enough. Just give it to the kid who knocks down the three.
There you go. Took a while to get going, but against the zone, somebody's got to cheat out on his side. As we said, one of the top shooting freshmen in the MAC. Armand comes in at 43% from beyond the three-point line.
And the best thing I like about him is that he's second in the MAC in points per 40 minutes. So if you stretch out what he does in his limited time off the bench, he is the second most prolific scorer. And we have seen that on multiple occasions this year. His career-high 22 points came in 20 minutes against Siena. On Friday against Fairfield, he did a similar number on the Stags. He had 11 points in only 8 minutes on Friday, and very quickly here he's got 6 points in fewer than 6 minutes to help the Gales stretch it back to 14.
And on Friday night, that run was late in the game when they got themselves back into the ball game. I mean, that was a game where Fairfield was cruising along, looked like they were going to have an easy win and a good win at home. And all of a sudden, a couple turnovers, a couple steals from Iona, and then the threes by Armand gave them some life and got them right back into the ball game.
Alan Coita sent him to the bench. Machado got off quickly here tonight. Lost the ball out of bounds. Beeman tried to save it, and we had to break. 11:44 remaining first half. Gales still very much in control over their rival Jaspers.
I could smell smoke, and I could taste blood, and I could hear my wife screaming. Katie's dead. Katie's dead.
Every day, I live knowing that she's never coming back.
Our lives were destroyed by the drunk who killed our daughter. We have to live every day with the weight of that crash.
How will I live without Kate?
Could you live with yourself if you murdered my daughter?
Anaconda Sports, your sports authority, proudly supporting local high school athletes throughout the region. We want to thank all the teams and coaches that have made Anaconda the #1 dealer in the Northeast. Football, baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever your sport, Anaconda has what you're looking for. From the latest gear and team uniforms to logo shirts and hats for your company. Make Anaconda your connection.
Hey, if you want to go for sports equipment, go to Anaconda Sports. It's awesome, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, the award has been a leader providing trophies, plaques, watches, apparel, and promotional products for over 50 years. Contact us at leadingaward.com.
Welcome back to the Pepsi Max MAC Game of the Week. Doug Sherman along with Rob Kennedy. Iona with the big 14-point lead, and it's come with pretty good balance. And Scott Machado kind of orchestrating a lot of it.
Well, he got everything started. His first 2 trips up the floor, gets 2 assists, and then he scored it himself. But this is a team, especially under Tim Cluse, who is really offensive-minded. They score over 78 points per game, and they've got good balance. They can score it inside, especially when Rodriguez gives them that second interior scorer to go along with Glover. And then they've got plenty of guys that can really stretch out the defense, including Armand.
6 different Gales have scored so far tonight. As a team, they are amongst the league leaders in many categories, including assists per game, and not surprising when you've got the guy who individually is second in the country in that category. But this is a team that, at its best, with Mike Glover scoring points, is an entertaining ball game or ball team, and one that's fun to watch.
And they share the basketball, and you're right. You got Machado who's leading it, but everybody gets involved and it becomes contagious But that's one of the things about Tim Cluse's teams. You go all the way back to when he was coaching out on the island at St. Mary's. He always put a high premium on basketball skills. You got to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot to play for him. And this team has really, when they've played well, it's been because of their offense. If there's one deficiency that they've had this year, it's sometimes when they've needed a big stop, they haven't been able to make it.
George Beeman, strong move to the bucket. He's the 5th leading scorer in the MAC at over 15 per game. And those were his first 2 tonight. Machado perhaps for another assist. Jenkins has it rattle out. And again, Alejo Rodriguez, who we were told during the first few games of the losing streak really had struggled with his hips. Again, he had 2 surgeries on the same hip in the offseason, 2 different injuries on the same hip. And so he's never really, along with the back injury from a few years ago, never been fully as explosive as he was in high school. But what we've seen, both Friday at Fairfield here tonight, he looks as good as he's looked in a few years.
Well, one of the things that Tim Cluse talked about was how they have to keep him rested. They can't really practice him a whole lot. He said, you know, he's a smart guy. He's got good basketball IQ. So he sits there, he watches practice. We get him in every once in a while. He said he's all banged up. So we're just going to have to try to keep him as healthy and rested as we can to be able to try to get the most out of him.
Well, how many 22, 23, 24-year-olds have undergone back surgery, multiple hip surgeries? I mean, that's not supposed to come for another 50, 60 years. And here he is as a 5th-year senior at Iona, having had his body go through all of that. Not the best free throw shooter, obviously, but as Rob said, his basketball IQ is very good. He shoots a very high percentage, 64% from the floor, as he always does.
Yep.
But he didn't make the start on Friday, again, just to mix things up, perhaps give him more rest. But he outperformed Chris Pelcher, who had started in his place. And so now Pelcher's back tonight to his customary role coming off the Iona bench. And he's actually at the scorer's table as we speak. Mel Brown stripped by Jenkins. Now the foul called. Glover fouled Jemison. And the former Alabama Crimson Tide will head to the free throw line to shoot 2. There's Chris Pelcher, sophomore from Albany Academy, who came downstate for his college basketball.
And he gives them a bruising body and defensively can bang against some guys. So it's a good compliment to Rodriguez. But offensively, when you've got Rodriguez on the floor, who is an accomplished scorer, and takes some pressure off Mike Glover. One of the things that's happened to Mike Glover is people are just mugging him up inside. And double teams coming at him, putting bodies on him every time down the floor. And not surprising with the type of start that he got off to inside the MAC. I mean, he was just absolutely incredibly dominant throughout the beginning of the match.
And he had dominant performances against BCS Power 6 conference teams as well, including a night against my alma mater where it looked like he could just do anything he wanted. That 2-3 zone had nothing on Mike Glover. Smythe off the mark. Wide open for the easy putback is Sean Armand.
And too many things have been too easy. Manhattan not coming out with a whole lot of energy that you would expect from a team that's struggling and in one of these rivalry games.
This matches Iona's largest lead of the night so far. Glover saw a lot of green jerseys in front of it, and he decided to try and find Armand on the putback, but they mishandled it and turn it back over.
A good ball movement. Smith gets again an open look. Nobody blocks out on the weak side of the zone. Armand right there to clean it up.
Well, Kadani Brutus looked like the guilty party for the Jaspers on that one.
Well, they've been guilty of not bringing the energy to start things off. Iona's a team that came out with a little chip on their shoulder. Remember, they were in the midst of a 4-game losing streak themselves, so they are the team that's come out with way more energy here in the early going.
Beeman spotting up. Jenkins quickly back the other way. He's got Pelcher to the left. Back out to Smythe. A little strong, but not a bad set in transition.
And they get a lot of good open looks from 3 in transition, and that's by design.
Jemison, strong move to initiate the contact and then bank it home.
Well, you've got to do something to try and get your team some life.
Glover met at the rim, stopped the first time, but Brown couldn't stop the second time.
He's so quick, he's so strong and athletic. And that's a great combination. Quick off his feet, and when he gets there, he's strong enough to go through any type of contact.
Glover 6th in the country in field goal accuracy, 62%, which has him atop the MAC numbers in that category.
He is the prototypical power forward.
Yep.
I mean, he's a guy that's just going to absolutely just explode right through you.
Now he's 3 for 6 from the floor tonight. Doesn't expand the jump shot much beyond 15. But he certainly understands who he is and what he brings to the table. There's Armand. Not just a three-point shooter so far here tonight, doing a little bit of everything.
Yep, had an offensive putback. Remember, shot clock didn't reset. Again, another forced, bad, guarded, deep shot. Things not going well here in the early going for the Jaspers.
Scott Machado's been on the Iona bench the last couple of minutes, and the Gales have not skipped a beat. Armand. That won't count because it hit the wire above the basket before it came back through the cylinder. It's not to say it might not have come back down through the cylinder, but once it hits that or the shot clock above the basket, it's a dead ball. Turn it back over to Manhattan. Alvarado, the trap came and he saw it coming, got rid of the basketball in plenty of time.
But you got to make them pay. If they're going to come trap you out at half court, you got to be able to pass the basketball. You should be able to get yourself, once you get out of that initial trap, you should be able to get a good shot against that.
Right, because it's 4 on 3.
You can't be content to just get it out of the initial trap. You got to be aggressive and go attack from there.
Demetrius Jemison now with 6 points to lead Manhattan. He has started now all of the 15 games he's been eligible to play in for Manhattan since transferring from Alabama. Smythe, drop it off Glover. He just hangs in the air longer than everybody else.
And did you see how he gathered the basketball and then just powered right up?
8 points for the Max leading scorer, Mike Glover. And there he is, and he'll have a chance for a three-point play when we come back to New Rochelle.
Someone, possibly you, pays for the electricity that powers this screen. Would you like to pay less? You have a choice. Spark Energy is here to save you money on electricity. It's the same power over the same lines, but with lower prices. Visit us online at sparkenergy.com/TV, where it's easy to switch and learn how Spark Energy gives back to your community, because we empower what matters.
There's a place you can be on the beach during the day, or hear a live band late into the night. A place where you can do some indoor shopping or do some outdoor eating. It's where creative thinkers go, and forward thinkers have their businesses. It's a place you may have heard of. It's a place called Bridgeport, Connecticut. Surprise, it's Bridgeport.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Iona College dance team. Hey there, Matt Gray. Today's game is being sponsored by the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee, who reminds you that drinking and driving centers lives. Your area law enforcement agencies are out at work tonight, and every night to remind you that if you drive impaired, you will be caught. So please, have fun, but drink responsibly. Let's go, IC! A sober driver.
Back in New Rochelle, Iona with a 15-point lead over Manhattan. The Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference and Rider University host the NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, March 17th through the 19th. Make sure to stop by the Fan Fest at Lincoln Financial Field during the championships, and for more information, visit ncaa.com/wrestling. Doug Sherman, Ron Kennedy with you here at the Heinz Athletic Center. Pep band over in the corner, and the folks who have made the trip here on a Monday night to the Iona campus have had plenty to cheer for. The league's leading scorer, Mike Glover, at the line. He's now got 9 points to lead all scorers.
And continues to just absolutely struggle on this end of the floor. 1 of 9 from the field. And Doug, they have not gotten many good looks against this zone. I mean, look right now. Shot clock's down to 18 seconds before they get anywhere.
Shot clock down to 6. Beeman tried to penetrate. Knocked out of bounds. The Jaspers will keep it with 5 on the shot clock. Catch and shoot. No, and Alejo Rodriguez clears for Iona. Glover had a full head of steam. I'm telling you, he looked like a hybrid between your Hines Ward and who's your tight end with the Steelers? He's something.
Look at that.
He's between a wide receiver and a tight end, and he was looking like he was running down the far sideline.
Well, even if he
Miller,
catches, even if he catches that, though, there's nothing he can do with it. Machado just left him too far.
But you can understand that allure of seeing him running.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just throw it up there.
Oh, and he'll
make
go
something
get it.
happen.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah. No. And they like to get out in transition. Again, this is a team that wants to get up and down the floor. They want to shoot threes. They're a very entertaining and a very good, efficient offensive team.
By the way, sorry about your Steelers. You have a
it was a
rough
tough
time
one.
last
well,
night.
if you're going to turn it over 3 times and not force any turnovers. But I'll tell you what, I said early in that game, like, we're down 21-3. Would have signed up for a chance with the ball in Big Ben's hands with under 2 minutes left and give it a chance. And they had it.
Say Glover was the last to touch off the feed from Jenkins. This is Iona's largest lead of the night. They jumped out in the blink of an eye to a 12-0 lead, stretched it to 17-2, and they've pretty much traded baskets with the Jaspers ever since. Brutus tries again, fouled by Smythe, and so he will go to the line for 3.
And there's no need. You want to be aggressive. You want to close out. You can't foul him in that situation.
Second on Smythe. And the 5th against Iona here in the first half. And so Kidani Brutus, a 6'1 junior from the Bronx out of Wings Academy, who is a 3-point specialist at the free throw line. MAC fans, the MAC is on Facebook. Make sure to catch up on the latest MAC news by logging on to facebook.com/MACsports. 2 for 2. Brutus looks like he's at the Papa shot. Take it, fire. Take it, fire.
Well, he's got a good stroke, though. No sense waiting around. But coming out to challenge that, Manhattan shooting under 25% from the floor here in this first half. You can't get too excited to go out and get contact, and that's what Tim Clues is talking to him about. Challenge, but you can't foul.
Free to get across. Machado does. The all-conference point guard throws it up to Glover, who finishes.
Well, you think those 2 guys have worked on that a little bit during practice? Machado gets where he wants to with the basketball, and then Glover gets up wherever he wants to go get it.
Floater by Brutus is good.
Well, Iona gamble a little bit on the defensive end, and that's one of the reasons why when you look at their defensive field goal percentage numbers, that's one of their weak spots. But by gambling a little bit, it gets him going out in transition.
Brown with the full palm of his hand to block that shot.
As we said, Machado, a handful. Hard to keep him out of the lane. He's really good with the basketball and then just leaves it up. And as we said, Glover, a little smile on his face. There's a reason why he scores it at 19 a game. And one of those reasons is Scott Machado gets him a lot of good open looks.
Now, Mike Glover is the younger brother of former St. John star Anthony Glover. Brings similar things to the table here at Iona. He's a young man who originally signed with a Big East school, signed at Seton Hall and went there, but wound up never playing for the Pirates and for Bobby Gonzalez, the former Manhattan coach. And after a long journey, has found himself a real home here at Iona.
And what's interesting, Doug, even after all that, he went to junior college and got his degree. And he committed to go to St. Francis in New York last year. And he was on his way to go play for Brian Nash. And then when Brian Nash decided that he wanted to step away from coaching. All of a sudden, it worked out well for the Iona Gales. He would have been an absolute beast in the NEC.
Jenkins a little short. I asked Coach Kluse the other day why Mike Glover is the exception to the rule of the Power 6 supposed phenom who comes, quote, back to the MAC and hasn't just succeeded but excelled, because so many of them come back and think they're just going to dominate. They don't have to work that hard. He said that Glover has been out of basketball for so long, so wanted to prove. He said if he had played at Seton Hall and then came here, it might have been different. But the fact that he had never played Division I basketball, this was his first opportunity, and had been through so much at Seton Hall and at junior college. Plus, he has matured at the age he is and was ready to become a responsible player. He also said that because he has the responsibility of being a young father, he takes great care of his 2-year-old son, Mike Jr. All these things have come together and combined for Iona to have, again, the exception to the rule of these guys who transfer back from the Big East.
And when you watch him play, it clearly looks like he's playing with that chip on his shoulder. Even now, even after he's had the success, he wants to prove people wrong.
Alejo Rodriguez down on the floor in the backcourt. Now he is up. Manhattan went 5-on-4. Alvarado laid it in, and that's a 9-2 Manhattan run to get back within single digits. And the timeout called by Iona to A, try and stop the run, and B, allow Rodriguez to get up off the floor. The 2011 Spark Energy MAC Basketball Championships head to the Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut, March 3rd through the 7th. Make sure to purchase your tickets today by logging on to MacSports.com or at the Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard box office. The 2011 Spark Energy MAC Basketball Championships. Every game counts.
Well, Tim Kluse took that timeout. He was upset at his team, and rightfully so. You know, they had this game basically out of reach, and they had Manhattan right where they wanted them because they were defending and executing on the offensive end. Last couple of possessions, too many easy shots for the Jaspers.
Saw Tim Kluse, first-year head coach at Iona. He's very interested in that score right there. Loyola up in Albany has a 3-point lead early second half over Siena. And coming into play tonight, Loyola, Siena, and these Iona Gales were tied in the MAC standings at 7-5, tied for 4th place behind Fairfield, St. Peter's, and Rider. Do you see a MAC scoring champion in the future out of Sean Armand?
Oh, he certainly can, because he's got two things. He's a very good athlete. He's got some power to his game. And then his ability to stretch out defenses gives him a chance to put up some big scoring numbers.
Well, he has that MO as a deep NBA type three-point shooter, but he's got more to his game than just firing away from the perimeter. Alvarado, nifty shot inside.
The last couple of possessions, Manhattan, after not being able to get anything going, basically making no trips into the paint the first 5 minutes of the ball game, they've gotten in there consistently over the last couple of minutes.
And another turnover takes us to break. Sean Armand and the Iona Gales still up by 10, but the Jaspers are showing signs of life here in New Rochelle.
Dreams are forged. Character is tested. Teams are united. Champions win here. Watch the crowning of new NCAA wrestling champions March 18th and 19th on ESPN and ESPNU in high definition. For information, visit ncaa.com/wrestling.
Attention MAC basketball fans, great seats are now on sale for the 2011 MAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championships March 3rd through the 7th at Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. 20 teams, 18 games, 2 champions, and plenty of edge-of-your-seat action. For tickets, go online at MacSports.com, Ticketmaster.com, or call Ticketmaster at 800-745-3000. The 2011 MAC Basketball Championships, every game counts.
Welcome back to the Pepsi Max MAC Game of the Week. The Gales dance team with plenty to be happy about. Hey, the MAC now has an app for your iPhone, iPad, or iPod. Log on to the iTunes store, search MAC Sports, and download your free MAC app today. When you and I started doing these MAC games a decade ago, if I'd read that promo, you'd have gone, huh? I what? It is amazing how the world has changed the last few years with all of the social media, and the MAC is right in there with everybody else.
And you got to be. Everybody's on Twitter, Facebook, everything else, and it's a great way to have information. Sometimes it's information overload.
Yep.
But for those people who are real fans, you can pretty much find out stuff that you never would have been able to know, even if you just go back 5 years ago, let alone 10, 15, 20. It's amazing the wealth of information that's out there.
Well, Jasper's showing signs of life, although Brutus turns it over. Machado, if he can track it down, has the easy two.
And that was a great feed by Armand. Did a nice job getting some air under the basketball so that it allowed Machado to use his speed to go track it down.
Machado, 4 points, 4 assists, 3 turnovers here in the first half. Lead back to a dozen. Jemison had it roll from his fingertips down to the palm of his hand, kind of the heel of his hand, and never really got it up on the rim. Trinity Fields into the game for Iona. He uses the screen from Rodriguez and hits the 19-footer.
And he wasn't even looking at shoot that ball. He turned, took an extra bounce. Look, nobody was within 10 feet of him.
Well, he's only 1 of 15 from beyond the three-point line today, so perhaps the defensive scouting report said let him shoot from the perimeter. Alvarado rattles it home. He's been about the only steady answer for the Jaspers, now with 13 points. And again, before the game, he told me, hey, I'm playing with confidence since I hit that 65-foot game winner against Marist last weekend. And he is showing that here tonight. And if you stick around, we will show you that play one more time. That was the play of the weekend last weekend on ESPN. This is Alvarado with the ball, young man out of All Hallows. Skip pass to the corner. Andrew Gabriel making an appearance.
And again, another defensive breakdown for Iona. You know, sometimes you just got to be solid defensively, keep guys in front of you, and make people make plays. By gambling and getting out of whack a little bit, they've allowed wide open looks.
Machado.
Speaking of wide open looks, I mean, every once in a while, defensively, you just got to go find a guy and stay between him and the basket.
Really?
And things work out.
Really?
Every once in a while, you got to force teams to make a play instead of giving them those freebies.
3-on-1. Field just throws it up knowing Glover was coming.
Yeah, and that's a good idea. When he's coming, put it up at the rim.
Smiles for Glover. Young man from the Bronx. Alvarado pinballs off of the Gales. Now gets the ball away to Brutus. Beeman attacks. And he gets the roll.
And that's what you've got to do. Get it out of that first trap. And if you're patient enough, you're going to get good looks.
Armand has it go up and over the backboard as the halftime horn sounds. Iona with a 12-point lead. 1 point away from his 1,000th career point at Iona. Scott Machado as he heads to the locker room. Those 4 assists, part of 10 team assists for Iona. Impressive at the offensive end. Still some things to shore up at the defensive end, but in pretty good shape heading to the locker room, Rob.
Oh, they're in good shape because they certainly set the tone early on. But I'll tell you what, if you're Manhattan, I think you're thrilled to get to the locker room down only 12. It could have been worse.
Coming up on the MAC Halftime Report, our MAC News and Notes. We'll hear from Tim Cluse. We sat him down before the ball game. Also, our first half highlights and statistics coming up after this break. Mike Glover, 13 points. Sharon Armand with 11. Iona led by as many as 17. It's 44-32 right now.
Kate could not have been happier.
And she told me it was the best day of her life. I placed her in a limousine for the ride home. There was a drunk driver. He drove straight into us, and I could hear my wife screaming.
I was looking on the floor for Kate to make sure that she was okay. Her head had been torn from her body.
Every time you get behind the wheel drunk, you put all of us at risk. Could you live with yourself if you murdered my daughter?
It's a college on a quiet campus with the heartbeat of Manhattan.
It's something new. It's something old. You smell pastrami and you smell roses.
It's got everything you could possibly want.
Even if you're not sure what you want, it's the best of all worlds. Manhattan College.
A world-class faculty and student body, minutes from the center of everything.
So come, be a part of it. Manhattan College, the best of all worlds.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the Student Athlete Advisory Committee will be selling 50-50 raffles throughout tonight's game.
Back in New Rochelle, New York, Iona with a 12-point lead at the intermission over the arch rival Manhattan Jaspers. This being Monday, we have just gotten our weekly honors handed to us earlier tonight. Player of the week goes to Justin Robinson. Those Rider Broncs on a terrific roll, pushing the Fairfield Stags after coming up with the victory over the weekend. Rookie of the week, Niagara's Marvin Jordan, who is on some kind of roll for the Purple Eagles, last 7 games averaging over 15 points per night. So he is our MAC Rookie of the Week. And be sure to tune in Friday, February 25th for a MAC national television doubleheader. First at 7 Eastern on ESPN2, Siena will take on Fairfield. Then at 9 Eastern on ESPNU, Iona faces St. Peter's. That's Friday, February 25th on ESPN2 and followed on ESPNU. Those matchups just announced this afternoon. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, well-deserved for Fairfield as they lead the MAC, and that should be a good matchup. Siena certainly has the size up front. Ryan Roster, a handful, and a very good matchup, Iona and St. Peter's as well. Very contrasting styles in that game. Iona wants to score it. St. Peter's is all about the D.
But the folks at ESPN have certainly done their homework to get 4 of the better teams in the MAC and highlight them on national television, that doubleheader on ESPN2 and then ESPNU, a chance to see some of the best teams in the MAC this year. We'll take another break here at halftime. Scott Machado, the junior point guard for Iona, with that bucket, pulled within 1 point of 1,000 for his career. A chance to get to that plateau in the second half.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
PSI. I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these. What you drinking on? Snoop! Pepsi Max. Too much taste to be called a 0.
Recognized among an elite group of colleges that promote leadership and character development, and with a national reputation for excellence in the use of technology in the classroom, Marist College produces graduates who are ethically aware, culturally connected, and technologically prepared for immediate and long-term success in the rapidly changing environment of the 21st century.
Unlike most, that was never a dream of mine, to be honest with you. I loved high school. I really just wanted to stay there, and that's what
Back again at the Hines Athletic Center on the campus of Iona College. 44-32 Gales on top. Before tonight's ball game, we sat down Iona's first-year head coach Tim Kloos and asked him about his journey to Division I basketball coaching.
Unlike most, that was never a dream of mine, to be honest with you. I loved high school. I really just wanted to stay there, and that's why I spent about 20 years there. I wanted to coach my own someday, but some things just happen, and after having done it for a long time and probably tasted about as much success as I could taste at that level, something just said, why don't you just try it, because you're getting a little older, why don't you see if you like it. So my original plan was just to give it 1 year to see if I wanted to coach at that level or not. So I took a junior college job at the last minute and tried it, and I realized that you could have an impact on the lives of players in college, not just high school age people, and competition to me was still competition, and I enjoyed stepping it up a level, and that's kind of what led me to here. And even while I was at Post, I really wasn't thinking of moving forward. Just that so many opportunities opened up in the area that somebody said to me, why don't you just throw a resume out? You've never done that. And I said, you know what, I'll throw one at Iona and just see what happens. And sure enough, Pat Lyons called me, which I didn't expect, and we sat down and met, and everything went really well. And it kind of was a whirlwind. I really wasn't looking for it, and I really wasn't expecting it. But I'm forever grateful to have gotten this opportunity, and I'm thrilled to be here.
What's been the greatest challenge moving up to Division I?
I think getting used to the level of competition and the coaches that are in this and their style of play. The recruiting obviously is always is more of a challenge at this level, because you're not just competing within your MAC league, you're competing against all the Division I coaches. Because I'll be honest, the players I go out and say, I want that player. Well, I find out he's going to Kentucky, North Carolina. So my sights are probably a little higher than most coming into this position. I guess being spoiled by coaching very good players in high school, and even at Division II level I had really good players. So I'm trying to make that adjustment of finding the talent level that fits my style and guys who are hungry that really want to develop, because I think that's what we need to do at this level, is get guys who are going to develop more and really have a passion for the game of basketball.
And I just want to ask you about your playing days. Take us through high school and then college and then professional basketball.
I was fortunate to play for a great high school coach in Frank Morris. He was tremendous. I played at St. Agnes High School, followed one of my brothers there. Had great freshmen, Dave Rosenthal and Bob Hirschfield, my freshman and JV coach, is just passionate about the sport of basketball. And obviously coming from the youngest of 5, so I had 3 brothers and a sister who played before me. All 3 played at St. John's. My sister played in her own right, was a great competitor. So I kind of grew up with competition in my blood. Followed them to St. John's. Didn't have a great career there. Didn't go my way, injuries and other things, so I left and went to Hofstra. Finished up as a senior there, played well. We won 19 games that year. Really had a nice time there, and which led me to go over to Australia and play. I came back from there at one point when my brother had gotten sick to come back and help out in that situation. And a little while later on, while I was coaching at St. Mary's, a friend of mine was coaching over in Sweden, and he said, listen, our American just got hurt. You don't start your season for 3 months. Can you come over and play? So I went over for one short period of time over in Sweden and had fun and came back and coached again after that and never left coaching.
We appreciate your time, Coach, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, that's Tim Kloos, the head coach for the Iona Gales, and we'll be right back after this.
Follow me, we'll go inside.
The size of the school is just perfect and doesn't feel overwhelming.
Going to a great school that offers a lot of scholarships and money for me is very important.
Division I, it's got great sports. People cheering, just a lot of fun.
So now we're at the Varsity Village houses.
You can live in there? I feel right at home, right here.
Back at halftime of our Pepsi Max MAC Game of the Week, a Monday night MAC showdown between league rivals Iona and Manhattan. As Rob Kennedy and I jockey for position here, boxing each other out. Welcome back, everybody, inside the Heinz Center. And, you know, up 16 early, it looked like Iona had this game in the bag, but Manhattan, to its credit, hung around.
Well, they couldn't make a basket early on. They started that first half 4 of 17. They hit their last 7 of 9 field goals to climb back in. But Iona gave them a couple easy field goals. Coming out, trapping a basketball. Finally, Manhattan showed some patience to get it out of the trap and got some freebies at the back end.
And, Rob, not surprisingly, as we show you the first half highlights, it was heavy on Scott Machado and Mike Glover.
Well, we said they needed Mucho Machado. They got it right from the start. That was the first possession. He had an assist on the first 2 times he touched the basketball. Also got involved with scoring it. As you said, a very versatile player that can do a lot of things for this team. And as well, putting it up for Mike Glover to go get it wherever he wants to. He's a terrific talent, quick off the floor, that ability to hurt you inside and outside. One of the reasons why Iona had such a good offensive first half.
Yeah, our first half stats brought to you by FYE. Iona dominating on the glass as well at 25-13.
And as we said, that was one of Manhattan's strengths coming into this game. Iona did a real good job on the defensive backboards as well as the offensive backboards. 17 second chance points.
As you see, Iona jumped out to a 12-0 start, led 17-2, then 22-6. But we do still have ourselves a ball game. The lead is 12 as we get ready for the start of the second half, which should include a big milestone for that man. Scott Machado, 1 away from 1,000.
I could smell smoke, and I could taste blood, and I could hear my wife screaming, "Katie's dead. Katie's dead."
Every day, I live knowing that she's never coming back.
Our lives were destroyed by the drunk who killed our daughter. We have to live every day with the weight of that crash.
How will I live without Kate?
Could you live with yourself if you murdered my daughter?
At St. Peter's College, success is a team effort. St. Peter's College, education one student at a time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anaconda Sports, the newest member of Lid's Team Sports, is your one-stop shopping place for all of your athletic needs. Visit www.anacondasports.com or call us at 1-800-398-7.
Welcome back to the Pepsi Max MAC basketball game of the week here at the Heinz Athletic Center in New Rochelle, New York. Our score, Iona 44, Manhattan 32. Scott Machado on the verge of reaching 1,000 career points. We heard from his head coach, Tim Kloos, at halftime talk about his long run at St. Mary's High School out on Long Island. Machado was his point guard for 1 year. When Machado was a 9th grader, he played for Kloos, and Coach Kloos told me on Friday, Machado hasn't worked as hard since I had him in 9th grade as he is working now for me this year. He has really had a good influence on him. But, you know, it wasn't like they were old buddies. That was his coach from a long time ago, and they have a good working relationship.
Yep, and he was a freshman, played on the freshman team, but Tim said he knew he was going to be good, so I had him come up and practice with us, even though he didn't play on the varsity for that season. And then not only did Kloos leave St. Mary's, but Scott Machado also ended up leaving St. Mary's after Tim left and went to play for Dan Hurley, one of the top high school coaches in the country when he was at St. Benedict's, who also has now made the jump to college coaching, doing a terrific job in his first season over at Wagner.
Yep, and no drama here in the second half. Machado reached that 1,000-point threshold on his first shot, now with 9 points tonight and 1,001 for his career. The rare junior that reaches that point. Jemison just keeps on chugging. 10 points now for the 6'8 senior from Birmingham.
And just the second field goal on an offensive rebound here tonight for Manhattan.
Smythe, no. Jemison, who has been a rebounding machine, pulls it down. Jemison will not qualify as we take another look at Machado. And again, 1,001 points. He knows the friendly rims here at the Heinz Athletic Center. But because Jemison was not eligible because he had trouble with his transfer waiver from Alabama, he won't qualify for the MAC rebounding title or some of the other statistical categories, but he's had a terrific imprint on the Jaspers since being able to finally get into those Kelly green uniforms.
And that's a key word, finally. When you look at this Manhattan team, it's been a season where Barry Rohrson never has had his team whole. Jemison not able to play right off the bat. Remember, you come in and you transfer after sitting out a year, and he was hurt his last year when he was at Alabama, so he wasn't practicing, and he was really rusty, and they needed him right from the get-go to kind of work his way back in. They never got him in that situation, and then injury. I mean, Torgen Sommerfeld, a terrific player from overseas in Norway, was basically penciled in to be the starting two-guard or three-man, a terrific shooter at 6'6". He's been out all season. And then as well, Roberto Collinet, who they penciled in as their power forward, junior college transfer. He's been out all year with an Achilles, so it's been a difficult year for Manhattan. They've never really had the guys that they were counting on coming into the season on the floor together.
Ironically, though, it was an Achilles injury that ultimately, as Rodriguez scores off the feed from Dwight, it was an Achilles injury suffered by Jemison a couple of years ago that, in the first place, allows him this extra year to play at Manhattan because he got his degree, played his 3 years athletically at Alabama, but because he wanted to go to graduate school and study something that Alabama didn't offer. It's a new rule the NCAA has as he puts the rebound back in that allows him this extra year to play at a different institution. And he said he wanted to try something different. You know, he's from the Deep South. He's from Birmingham. Had played at Alabama and wanted to try the big city. Beeman with the bucket, and the Jaspers just keep hanging around.
Oh, and Iona has not been able to throw the knockout punch. Remember, as part of this 4-game streak, they've had leads in 3 out of those 4 games. That's one way to stop a streak.
Machado to Glover again, 15 points now for the 6'7" junior. And you'd never know that Mike Glover is struggling this year with 2 sore shoulders. He has had shoulder trouble this year, but again, it's not stopped him from being the league's leading scorer and its second leading rebounder. Machado kicked the ball out of bounds, so Manhattan will keep it.
Well, Manhattan trying to stay in the ball game. They get out with an easy basket in transition, but on the other end, Iona has the answer. Look at Machado. He's eyeing him the whole time. You see his eyes right there? You can see the white of his eyes, and just put it anywhere near the rim, and Glover's going to go get it.
5th assist for Machado as we take a look at our Surprise It's Bridgeport Star Watch update. Beeman with just the 6 points. Log on to surpriseitsbridgeport.com to learn all that Bridgeport, Connecticut has to offer. Glover got off to a relatively slow start here tonight in spite of his team jumping out to a 12-0 lead, but he has put together his own highlight reel here just 4 minutes into the second half.
And you can see why he's in the top 10 in the country in field goal percentage. High percentage shots when you get off the floor like he does.
How about Glover with the blind pass to Armand, but he couldn't convert. Quickly, here come the Jaspers. Beeman. Strong move for 2.
And a couple of times now, Manhattan able to get out in transition.
Alvarado, one man to beat. He attacks and draws the foul on Machado. And on the Iona point guard, that's just his first.
And that's what they've been doing here to start off this second half, getting out in transition and attacking the rim. There's a nice finish again by Beeman out on the run. Alvarado on that possession, just rushing the ball up the floor. Iona slow to get back in their transition D.
There's Tim Cluse. Won 4 state championships at the high school level at St. Mary's High School in Manhasset, Long Island. Alvarado now with 17 points to lead the Jaspers.
That was miscommunication on the defensive end. Barry Rorson wanted him in the 1-3-1 zone defense. He had about 3 of his guys in the 1-3-1, 2 guys not there. Again, a defensive breakdown to just give the opposition an easy shot. That's one of the reasons why both teams shooting it at a good clip.
Deshaun Dwight now with 5 points. Again, playing with an injured Achilles. You can see the wrap on his right calf. And in watching him, you can clearly see he does not have his full mobility. 5 to shoot. Brutus obliges, and he hits. It's a 5-point ball game. Timeout, Iona.
And credit Manhattan. This is a team coming in with just 4 wins on the season. It would have been easy to pack it in. But Brutus and company knocking down threes, and Manhattan's right back in it.
Attention MAC basketball fans, great seats are now on sale for the 2011 MAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championships, March 3rd through the 7th at Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. 20 teams, 18 games, 2 champions, and plenty of edge-of-your-seat action. For tickets, go online at macsports.com, Ticketmaster.com, or call Ticketmaster at 800-745-3000. The 2011 MAC Basketball Championships, every game counts.
I'm Sienna.
I am Sienna.
I am Sienna.
I am Sienna.
I am Sienna.
Sienna College offers an exceptional private education with a unique foundation of liberal arts, career preparation, and Franciscan values.
You already know what it is. I'm in the zone. Let's go, cause you already know. I'm in the zone. You already know what it is. I'm in the zone. Just bounce, come on, bounce, come on, bounce. You already know what it is. I'm in the zone. Let's go, cause you already know. I'm in the zone. You already know what it is. I'm in the zone. Just bounce, come on, bounce, come on, bounce.
Michael Alvarado and the Manhattan Jaspers, in spite of those terrific Iona highlights, are right in this ball game, and they have done in the first 4 minutes and 53 seconds of this half what took them 12 minutes to do in the first half, and that is score 15 points in the half.
Remember, they started the game just 2 of 12 from the floor. Since then, 13 for 21. Good answer coming out of the timeout.
Rodriguez with a chance for 3. And again, it's Rashawn Dwight in the middle of it. We talk about Machado being the star point guard, but Dwight does so many things, as Rob told you about earlier. As we told you earlier, we will show you the Michael Alvarado half-court heave to beat Marist last weekend. Is it the shot of the year? Some folks at ESPN think it is. We'll let you decide next.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
E-P-S-I. I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these. What you drinking on? Snoop! Pepsi Max. Too much taste to be called a zero.
It is a Catholic Jesuit university that stimulates the intellect and unleashes potential. It is a university known for its rigorous academic programs, state-of-the-art classrooms, and personalized attention. An experience that prepares students to succeed and to serve others for a more just and peaceful world. An opportunity that will inspire for a lifetime. Tradition, quality, leadership, value. We are Canisius College, where leaders are made.
Eight days ago, the life of that young man, Michael Alvarado, changed forever for the better. He hit a buzzer beater, desperation, to beat the Marist Red Foxes. Let's show you that drama and listen to the call of the voice of the Jaspers, Ed Cohen.
Kemp's going to guard the inbounder, and that's going to be George Beeman. Beeman has the ball from David Walker. Looking to get it in as Kemp waves his arm. Inbounds to Alvarado. 1 second. Launching in midcourt at the buzzer. It's good! It's good! Off the glass and good! Alvarado wins it for the Jaspers here on the road at Marist. My goodness!
And there's the voice of the Jaspers, Ed Cohen, who made that call and was part of the play of the weekend last weekend on ESPN. And since then, it has gone viral everywhere. 1.5 million hits on YouTube as of this afternoon. He had 1 million hits in the first 3 days. ESPN bracketologist Joe Lenardi says it may be the play of the year, and there's also talk that it might get a nominee for an ESPY. So there may be a trip out to Los Angeles coming up for Michael Alvarado, who the day after was at ESPN. He went to Bristol, Connecticut, along with head coach Barry Rorson and the SID at Manhattan for a day out on the campus and a chance to get interviewed and meet and greet some of the folks at ESPN, all because of the dramatic shot to beat Marist last Sunday. Here he is with the basketball, 5 to shoot. Beeman. Rebounding foul against Machado. Number 2 on Machado.
Well, Manhattan's been much more aggressive here in this second half, both in transition, Doug, and on the offensive glass. Barry Rorson's team showing you some life.
Jemison off the feed from Alvarado for 2. Big second half now going for Demetrius Jemison. He's up to 14 points for the ball game.
And too many wide open looks for both these teams, quite frankly. Too many shots where guys are just absolutely on an island unto himself. No defender anywhere near him.
Good ball movement to find Machado. Rodriguez, just bigger and stronger, going after it. And he draws the foul.
Watch here, as we said, just too many easy open looks. You've got bodies around, but nobody challenges it. By the time a hand gets up, it's another shot for Jemison, who's now in double figures with 14 points. But that was a big one-handed rebound. As you said, just bigger and stronger over top of everybody inside for Rodriguez to get that one.
And it was Jemison who picked up that foul. And there you see Demetrius Jemison, again played 3 years for the Alabama Crimson Tide. His career high came while he was playing in the SEC, 19 points against the Arkansas Razorbacks. And he's got his bachelor's degree already in consumer science from Alabama. 1 out of 2 from the line for Alejo Rodriguez.
Here comes the trap now. Iona trying to make something happen. You see Glover's athleticism to go play the point of that pressure defense, and now at the top of the zone.
Interesting how last year as a freshman, a young man from Roslyn on Long Island couldn't get much playing time. Beeman, though, has become a central figure for the Jaspers this year, although he gets the ball stripped away by Machado. Machado, nice crossover. And the layup is off the mark. Brutus comes away with it. Numbers for the Jaspers if they hurry. But a kick basketball by Dwight. Nice job to stop the transition.
Every time I see Brutus coming up the floor,
Bagley.
I just got John Bagley in my, I mean, if that wasn't John Bagley's transition right there.
He certainly has the body type, no question about that. Former Boston College star. There goes Bagley, Brutus on the baseline. Beeman. Way off the mark. Didn't hit the rim, so the shot clock continues to wind down.
But a little effort now from Manhattan. Remember, they had just 2 points on second chance opportunities in the first half. Much more aggressive here in the second on the offensive board.
5 on the shot clock. Alvarado has his pocket pick. Brutus going to have to fire. Looked like Dwight may have gotten a piece of it either way. It's a shot clock violation. And so a good defensive stand by Iona. You see the man they call Slice, Barry Rorson. In basketball circles, only known as Slice. Never hear Barry.
Nope. One of the most likable guys in the business.
Takeaway by Alvarado. Again, numbers for Manhattan. They can feel it. 19 points now for their freshman point guard, and it's back to a 5-point ball game. Machado to the corner. Dwight. Left 3, and he makes him pay.
Well, they've got to figure out a way to keep Machado out of the lane. Every time he gets into the lane, it collapses their defense too much, and he's got great vision to find the open man.
Jemison trying to post inside on Rodriguez. They don't feed the post, instead swing it to the other side. Jemison. Beeman couldn't corral it, and it goes back over to Iona. Well, it might not be the play of the year, but Michael Alvarado making a lot of good plays here tonight, including this one, to keep the Jaspers within striking distance, down 8.
At Fairfield University, we explore big questions, complicated ideas, and unlimited possibilities.
In a community of learners representing diverse beliefs, opinions, and experiences.
Actively engaged in a caring, supportive, and fun community.
Our education prepares us to be thoughtful, global citizens, serving the common good.
At Fairfield University, you will get an inspiring education.
For an inspired life.
You can't predict the future, but with the right education, you can be prepared. When you evolve as a person, develop mind, body, and spirit, adopt new perspectives, and adapt to your surroundings, strong truths will follow. Truths that will guide you for the rest of your life. Loyola University, Maryland. Strong truths, well lived.
Welcome back to the Pepsi Max Mac Basketball Game of the Week. We are at Heinz Athletic Center in New Rochelle, New York. Our score, 59-51. Iona led by as many as 16 in the first half. The Jaspers have cut it to 5 on a couple of occasions here in the second half. If you are between the ages of 6 and 16, make sure to register for the Mac Bounce to the Arena. It will take place Sunday, March 6th at noon in downtown Bridgeport. Participants will receive a basketball that they will bounce along a planned route to Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard. Participants will also receive admission to the men's semifinal games of the Spark Energy MAC Championships. For more information, log on to MacSports.com.
And Doug, both teams shooting the ball well to start things off in the second half. Both teams at 50% or better.
White was met at the rim by Brown. I'm not sure he'll get credit for another block shot, but his timing is impeccable.
He's got long arms, too. I mean, he plays much bigger than his size.
Shot clock stands at 17 as Dwight will inbound. Out there with Machado, Armand, Rodriguez, and Glover. Glover kicks it to the corner. Armand makes him pay for collapsing inside.
That's just great offense. They get a little high-low action. Nice feed inside. Rodriguez can handle the ball. And then Glover, you got to collapse when it goes inside him. When he didn't make the clean catch, smartly kicked it out to the wide-open shooter. That's just real solid offense all the way around.
14 points for the freshman scoring machine off the bench. Young man from Brooklyn who scores more points per minute in the MAC than everybody but one. He's second in the league in points per minute.
Didn't have a lot going coming out of high school, so he did a post-grad year at CJEOTO Academy down the shore. Got a lot of interest, originally committed to Fordham University. And then when Jared Grasso, the new assistant coach here, left Fordham and came with Tim Clues, Sean Armand came along as well.
Rodriguez scores. Grasso was also instrumental in getting Mike Glover here after his commitment to St. Francis went away. And so Grasso has done very well on the bench for Tim Clues. 8-0 Iona run gets the lead back to 13. Brown the putback and snaps that 8-0 run.
Well, when you get the ball inside, you get some good offense going. You give yourselves more opportunities to get after it on the offensive board.
Machado with a big answer. Take a look at the last couple of sequences. The Glover assist out to Armand.
Yeah, great recognition when he didn't make the clean catch. And look who's in the lane again. It's Machado. And once he gets there, good things happen. Good catch and finish right there by Rodriguez.
Alejo Rodriguez now with 11 points. Iona has 4 players in double figures along with Machado, Glover, and Armand.
Machado's had 6 double-doubles on the season, points and assists, and close it in on potentially another.
Make sure to follow the latest MAC happenings on the MAC Twitter page at twitter.com/MacSports. And Machado very nearly got himself a triple-double against Hofstra back on December 29th. But Nakia Miller still stands alone as the only man in Iona basketball history to post a triple-double. Did it at the MAC tournament 11 years ago.
And as we said, you don't see a whole lot of them. You and I saw one on Sunday, the senior Anthony Nelson with a terrific all-around performance for Niagara. Got himself a triple-double the other day.
And also got himself on the ESPN top plays as Manhattan has to burn a timeout. Jabril Coulibaly got caught in a bad spot, but Nelson's dunk was able to weasel its way in on Super Sunday.
And that's not easy. You got to have a play like he had. That was a thunderous dunk along the baseline.
Barry Rorson talking things over in the Jaspers huddle. Again, this has been a long year for Manhattan, only 2-10 in league play. But if you can knock off your arch rival, it makes things a little bit easier on that Manhattan College campus to swallow. Well, let's take a look at the MAC basketball upcoming television schedule. There you see we've got a women's-men's doubleheader coming up on Friday right back here in New Rochelle. The Marist women on the verge of being ranked nationally again. And then the Siena men taking on Iona here.
Yeah, the Lady Red Foxes appearing in the poll this week at number 25. The poll came out today. So the third time in the last 4 seasons, Doug, that Brian Georges' Marist team has been ranked in the top 25 in the country. Quite an accomplishment.
No question about that. We'll have a chance to see them once again Friday at 4:30 on ESPNU right here at Iona College. Armand feeling it.
His 5th three. And all of a sudden, just like that, when it looked like Manhattan had gotten back into the game, Iona now with their largest lead.
17 points for the 6'2 freshman. Played his high school ball before heading to the Jersey Academy at Jacqueline Onassis High School. And again, as you said, he was not that big of a prospect, but certainly is looking like a big-time college player here tonight. Alvarado with another chance for 3. 21 for Michael Alvarado, but it's Sean Armand and the Iona Gales up by 15.
Kate could not have been happier.
And she told me it was the best day of her life. I placed her in a limousine for the ride home. There was a drunk driver. He drove straight into us, and I could hear my wife screaming.
I was looking on the floor for Kate to make sure that she was okay. Her head had been torn from her body.
Every time you get behind the wheel drunk, you put all of us at risk. Could you live with yourself if you murdered my daughter?
Attention MAC basketball fans, great seats are now on sale for the 2011 MAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championships, March 3rd through the 7th at Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. 20 teams, 18 games, 2 champions, and plenty of edge-of-your-seat action. For tickets, go online at MacSports.com, Ticketmaster.com, or call Ticketmaster at 800-745-3000. The 2011 MAC Basketball Championships, every game counts.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are college cheerleaders. Welcome the Central Athletic Conference thanks Pepsi Cola for its support of MAC athletics. Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste.
Back in New Rochelle, 15-point Iona lead, 70-55. MAC fans, all session and individual game premium seats are on sale for the 2011 Spark Energy MAC Basketball Championships. which will take place at Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard March 3rd through the 7th. Courtside seats start at $150 per session for $400 for the entire MAC tournament. Make sure to get your up-close VIP experience today. For more information, go to macsports.com. Iona has very quickly stretched the lead back to a comfortable margin. Meanwhile, up at the Times Union Center in Albany, Siena has lost to Loyola 76-69, and so the Greyhounds with an instrumental victory to get a game ahead of Siena, and depending on how things turn out here, they could stand alone after tonight in 4th place in the MAC.
Yeah, good win on the road for Jimmy Patzos' team. A 10-3 run to finish off the game and survive a monster rebounding game by Ryan Rossiter.
In that game, Rossiter went over 20 rebounds for the game and passed Lee Matthews to become the all-time leading rebounder in Siena College history. But it did not come in a Siena win. The Greyhounds with a big win over the Saints.
Yeah, it snapped the 3-game win streak for Siena. So every time it looks like Siena's getting themselves back to where a lot of people thought they were going to be before the season, they can't quite finish things off, especially at home, where they've been so good the last couple of years.
So Siena drops to 7-6 in the league. You see Iona here with the big lead, likely to be able to keep pace with Loyola, although with 7:31 on the clock, still plenty of time remaining for the Jaspers. Well, Siena started off so poorly at home. They have done much better lately in MAC play at home until dropping the game against Loyola tonight. But again, keep in mind this year's MAC championship not in Albany, it's in Bridgeport, Connecticut. So with that in mind, assuming Siena's a top 6 seed, do you think they have the ability in Bridgeport to string together 3 wins and win the championship?
Yes, if they get everybody healthy and playing together for a while. I mean, still with Ryan Rossiter, he's a dominant player. I mean, the numbers he puts up week in and week out are really incredible, but they need everybody else healthy and playing well. They need Clarence Jackson on the floor and playing the way that Clarence Jackson was playing early in the season before he got banged up. And if they've got everybody together, then yes, they could make a run. And I think that's the interesting thing about the tournament this year. Last couple of years, there was a clear-cut favorite. I still think Fairfield is a clear-cut favorite because they guard you, they're hard to score against, and the game's in Bridgeport. But I do think that there are a number of teams that are heading up to Bridgeport when we get there that are going to think that if they play well for a couple of games, they string 3 together, that they can win a MAC championship.
No question about that. That's coming up the first week of March at Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport.
In the last couple of years, everybody goes up there thinking you have a chance. But in the last 2 years especially, you knew, all right, if we play really well and Siena doesn't play well, we get a chance to win this. I think this year going in, there's a lot of teams that say, if we play well, we can beat anybody in this league. So it's a different mindset once you get to postseason this year, as opposed to having a dominant team like Siena the last couple of years.
No question. And Manhattan was a team similar to that back when Bobby Gonzalez was the coach, and they had Luis Flores, and they had Jason Wingate, who's back at Manhattan as an assistant coach now. And plus, at that time, they were getting the double bye. So you went into those tournaments thinking, well, it's Manhattan's to lose, just like you did Siena the last couple of years. Machado, strong finish.
Like shot out of a cannon right there.
Machado out of a cannon. Yep. 14 now for the 6'1 junior out of Queens, as we talked about. Finished up his high school ball at St. Benedict's Prep in New Jersey. Brutus well short. Gabriel couldn't corral it. Jayon James with the rebound. He's going coast to coast and going to be called for the foul.
Well, Machado's got all the skill set you'd want from your lead guard. Attacking the rim, lets contact go by. He's got the upper body strength to finish, and what he does as well as anybody, Doug, he gets into the lane at will at times. He's got that great crossover. He's got a good IQ and feel for the game, but he's got this skill set. He can handle, and he's strong enough once he gets into the lane, he can make plays.
Now he's a preseason first-team All-MAC, and he did reach 1,000 career points earlier here in the second half. George Beeman, Manhattan's lead scorer on the year, into double figures now, but you see he's taking a lot of shots just to get to 10 points. Once again, into the lane, Machado misses. Manhattan down 15, 5:40 to go. Jemison fouled on the catch in the lane. Armand, it's his first and the 7th against Iona, and so Jemison will shoot free throws. Well, Manhattan's been getting the job done at the free throw line so far tonight. That's 15 for 16. Jemison is getting closer to his career high, which, as mentioned earlier, was 19 while he was playing for Alabama a couple of years ago. Machado happy to work some time off the clock. Now with 10 to shoot. Into Rodriguez. Another rebound for Jemison. Brutus missed and then commits the foul. And he's got to be careful.
That's just a strong rebound by Glover. Brutus tried to sneak underneath him, but you'll see why Glover averaging a double-double, over 10 rebounds per game. As you said, he is the prototypical power forward, especially at this level, because he's got that size, power, but he's also quick to the basketball.
Well, you can see why he was a Big East recruit coming out of high school. There he goes again. Armand.
That's nice, even though he missed that. He's knocking down threes, terrific kick out by Glover, but you know guys are closing strong. Show the basketball and get them by you.
Smythe's pass knocked out of bounds by Gabriel, and so Iona will keep with 20 on the shot clock.
And last couple of possessions, Iona running through their offense, try to take some time off, but even more so than that, make sure that they get a good shot out of the possession.
Iona trying to snap its 4-game losing streak. 13 and 10 on the year. Armand misses. Gabriel with the rebound. Alvarado. A rare miss for him. Beeman still working hard. Ripped the ball away from a couple of Iona Gales. Gabriel went charging into the defender. Rodriguez went down. And Gabriel's whistled for the offensive foul, which takes us to our media timeout. 73-60 Iona looking to snap its 4-game losing streak.
On Blu-ray and DVD. Join yourself down. It's the name of love. Barry. Oh, God. God can't hear you, Barry. Oh, too. There are two things in this world. Sexy sex and boring death. I want to grow a beard. On January 4th. I had no idea. This was a dinner for extraordinary people. Find out who's the biggest schmuck. Your guy is amazing. When you own Dinner for Schmucks.
Mamma mia, papa pia. Baby got the diarrhea. Hey, Tim!
In stores now. On Blu-ray and DVD.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
P-S-I. I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these. What you drinking on? Snoop! Pepsi Max. Too much taste to be called a zero.
The Pepsi Max Mac Game of the Week is brought to you by Pepsi Max. 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. FYE, strictly for your entertainment. Blue Rock Energy. Blue Rock Energy saves you money on electricity and natural gas. Blue Rock Energy, putting people in power. And by the 2011 Spark Energy Mac Basketball Championships. Buy your tickets today on Ticketmaster.com, MacSports.com, or by calling 1-800-745-3000. The 2011 Spark Energy Mac Basketball Championships. Every game counts. Again, we're in the northern suburbs of New York City, here in New Rochelle, New York. If you are between the ages of 5 and 12, make sure to sign up for the Mac Dance and Cheer Clinic. It will take place Sunday, February 27th at Fairfield University. Participants in the clinic will perform during halftime of the women's semifinal games of the Spark Energy Mac Championships on Saturday, March 5th. To register or for more information, log on to MacSports.com. Iona started the night with a 12-0 lead, led by as many as 16 in that first half. Manhattan made a push here in the second half to cut it down to 5 on a couple of occasions. But Iona, with a burst a few minutes ago, back in control. Glover took it strong to the bucket. Trinity Fields into the ball game for Iona out of that last time up.
Well, they get some space and they run Glover into the high post. And as soon as he catches, he just ripped through and attacking the rim.
Now Glover went for 39 points against Canisius here in this building back on December 3rd. That's one off the Heinz Athletic Center record set by Steve Burt Sr. back in 1984. And the numbers just go on and on, Rob.
Yeah, and talk about making an impact from the get-go. Coming in and put up some of those monster double-double games to just kind of send a message to everybody that he is a handful, especially when he gets the basketball in the low post. Last couple of games, you know, as you talked about, he had the shoulder injury. That bothered him a little bit. That and the fact that everybody was mugging him up in the paint.
Yeah.
Guys
Excuse me, they're getting physical with him again tonight. We've seen it on a number of occasions.
Well, you got to body up against him. And he brings it to you now. Like, he's going to come right through you. He's seen a ton of double teams. But he's a good passer out of the post, too. So you got to pick your poison a little bit.
Brutus swishes for 2. Barry Roberson implores his team to get up in the pressure after the made bucket. Brutus now in double figures with 10. He's got the defensive assignment on Fields.
And as we talked about in their 4-game losing streak, there were times in games where they didn't finish things off. Here's where now you just got to execute and get good shots.
That's a good looking shot. Kyle Smythe, the sophomore from River Edge, New Jersey, buries the 3.
And as we said, that's what he does. He's a 3-point specialist in the top 10 all-time already. Only in his sophomore season here at Iona with over 100 threes.
Two minutes left in regulation. Machado, little runner. Not sure if he was floating it up there thinking somebody else would get it.
And I'm not so sure that was such a good idea. That's where even if you think you got somebody, bring the basketball back out. Manhattan forced to go chase you. They're running out of energy. Just let time and score situation. You got to make sure you make a better decision.
Chance for 3. If Glover had been a half step closer to the basket, he'd have gone up and thrown it down. This is the largest lead of the night now for Iona.
Well, dribble penetration. You drag the defense in, kick it out. That's the easiest 3-point shot. It's as if you're in practice, right? You got the rebounder throwing it back out to you. Straight on, steps in, and he's got a terrific looking jump shot.
Glover now stuck on 20 points, just over a season average of 19.1. Michael Alvarado has had a terrific ball game for the Jaspers. He has 22 points to lead all scorers. Rebound Machado. 3-on-1. Fields took that pass that may have been intended for Glover, but Glover makes sure to applaud his teammates for completing that fast break.
And on that fast break with the feed from Machado, he goes to 10 assists, so his 7th double-double on the season. All points and assists double-double. Nice little bounce pass. Don't have to do anything but fundamental basketball and the bounce pass.
Time now to look at our Pepsi Max slam of the game, and for that we go to Mike Glover, number 1 in white. We had a couple to choose from. We go with that pretty floating pass and the finish.
And they had a couple of those alley-oops.
So we go plural. Slams of the game. Our Pepsi Max slams of the game. And now his work is done with 1:13 and counting. Mike Glover and the Gales looking to snap the 4-game losing streak and keep pace for 4th place in the MAC with Loyola. The Greyhounds earlier tonight up in Albany beat Siena 76-69. So Iona will move a game ahead of Siena. George Beeman at the foul line. We should also say for Scott Machado, he is on pace to pass Iona's all-time assist king Rory Grimes. And that could come next year. He's also on pace to eclipse Glenn Grant's school record for 6.5 assists per game, or per season rather. 6.5 assists per game for an entire season.
I knew where you were. So single season average record.
Exactly. So Machado may also put himself back ahead of Ohio's DJ Cooper, who had taken over the national lead in assists per game this year with his big performance with 10 assists here tonight. Be sure to tune in Sunday at noon Eastern for our next MAC telecast. Elton Frazier and the Canisius Golden Griffins take on Shane Walker and the Loyola Greyhounds. Check your local listings only on the MAC television network. And if you like slam dunks, tune in for that one to see what Mr. Frazier has next in store. Job well done for Scott Machado. He helped Iona jump out and seize control. We thought perhaps the game would be over for sure with a quick double-figure lead, but to Manhattan's credit, they made it interesting for a while. By Iona just has more weapons and just kept coming and scoring the basketball. Randy DeZouvray just into the game for Iona, a junior from Montreal, Quebec. There you see Mike Glover. 20 points. And you see Ryan Rossiter's numbers tonight. So 23 and 20 for Rossiter, and then Glover and Machado doing what they do.
Glover 1 rebound short of putting up another double-double. What happened tonight, Doug, their 2 stars played like stars. You know, when you come into a game and you've got your 2 best players step up and basically 1 short of a rebound by Glover to have 2 double-doubles in a ball game, that's pretty good.
And I should correct what we had earlier. It's now 11 assists. So the last number we had of 10 did not include the last assist of the night for Machado. So he has 11 assists. And again, he came in averaging 7.5 per game. And perhaps he will overtake DJ Cooper at Ohio one more time.
And a real good bounce back game. Didn't play well up at Bridgeport. Held to a season low, 1 assist. Struggled from the field, just 2 of 10. That's what you want to see from guys. You know, you get a bad game, put it behind you. Don't worry about that. Let's come out and focus. They came out focused right from the start. That 12-0 run really set the tone.
25 points now from Michael Alvarado. Iona doesn't need